I so love being African and being from the continent is that we truly integrate. If we really want to move forward, we have to make this agreement of seamless borders real. We have to allow the free flow of goods and people and services. A One Africa approach where we specialize in terms of what we produce so we can trade with each other, where we create jobs for young people. Because 60% or more of our population are people 35 years and younger, and we have to pay attention to that.
Leadership, of course, I always say, national leadership, continental leadership will have to come together and be able to reset the different agendas in keeping with Africa 2063. Take those aspirational goals and turn them into effective, implementable national goals and regional goals. So to our leaders, let's say that we've come so far and we recognize all the progress has been made, sometimes under difficult circumstances, but now's the time to ask you for more.
We are excited and we welcome the idea of the creation of a 4G as a common collaborative platform, not only for us in the Commission, but continentally to exploit our various comparative advantages. This is critical for us to break down the barriers, the silos, and allow programming and planning to be well coordinated. We need to foster synergies and complementarities, resource mobilization, and distribution across our different flagships, for which science, technology, and innovation is one.
I think what we're trying to do here is to show that not only the African Union and its organs, are really keen on transformation in Agenda 2063. And so this extension of bringing private sector to play a role in the key drivers of integration is really paramount to us. And as a multi-stakeholder organization, AfroChampions has been trying to bring that ecosystem together. When you take the vaccine case in particular, we've seen how startups in other parts of the world have been able to go and get to a vaccine like mRNA ahead of even some of the big multinationals. And so it's important that we involve as many people as we can and increase the surface area.
I didn't unpack the whole concept of a new public health order that Adam and I have thought through severally. And it starts with the ability for the continent to manufacture its own vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics, what we call the health security commodities. We started talking about this before this pandemic. The new public health order talks about workforce and human capital development for public health. Talks about developing and strengthening our own public health institutions like the Africa CDC and private and partnership with the public sector. We are not into a large number of things. We say, if we do that, if we do these things that we just listed, we'll come out of this pandemic looking very different than we went into the pandemic, and we'll fight the ability in which we fight the next pandemic will be significantly different from that, from where we are today. So this is not rhetoric. This is not just some high-sounding words there. When we convened the meeting, a summit on vaccines on the continent on the 12th and 13th of April, 40,000 people gathered in 2 days on the platform to discuss local manufacturing, or what I call continental manufacturing, which when we left that meeting, President Tshisekedi launched the Partnership for African Vaccine Manufacturing, in abbreviation PAM, which was underpinned by two things: that we need to use a coordinated approach, we used to use a regional approach, and we must use the whole of Africa approach. What has happened since then? Because of that momentum that we put in there, the AU apply its full force behind it. South Africa will start manufacturing in a couple of weeks and months, not years, months, right? We heard the WHO announcement that South Africa will be a hub. I'm also pleased that with the announcement made out of Morocco that in the coming weeks, there will be they partner with China and some other companies in Europe to start producing about 5 million doses of vaccines to support the continent. We also know that Egypt is going down that route the same. The ambassador of Egypt, the Honorable Excellency Osama, was in my office 2 weeks ago, and he actually invited me to visit the manufacturing plant in Egypt. We know that the Pasteur Institute in Senegal, in a few days or weeks, will be announcing that the start of that. We also know that Algeria has also partnered with the Sputnik group in Russia to do that. Look, we had none of this when this pandemic hit us. Okay, so I mean, this is a whole new day.
The Department of Trade, Industry and Mining, it's mainly bringing together, all stakeholders that include, and also different sectors that include the tourism, integration, economy, policy, research, innovation, entrepreneurship, investment, oil, even gas. Those are related, directly or not indirectly with the $1 trillion framework. The Commission also has prioritized domestic resource mobilization among its priority focused area for the period 2021-2025. The Commission also prioritized engaging and working with the African pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, entrepreneurs, and also the African diaspora to expand their investment across Africa. And this is an opportunity to align $1 trillion framework with this new agenda. So in addition to that, I also can add what also the department is pursuing for in designation of the champion and leader at the level of head of states and the government on the elimination of illicit financial flows from Africa and mobilization of investment within the continent and the diaspora. So above all, let's say that there is a need for the Commission to make sure that member states and all other stakeholders own the process of the implementation of this framework. And that is the key role that the department is going to continue working on it, and also make sure that we work closely with the Secretariat of CFTA, with the REX, and also the AfroChampions.
But all persons coming into the country must be in possession of a negative COVID-19 PCR certificate, with a PCR certificate also having been validated under the trusted travel platform for those traveling by air.
To prevent fake COVID-19 PCR certificates being used to enter our country, government through the Ministry of Health has begun the process of digitizing PCR test results to ensure ease of verification. The technology platform being used at KIA is based on standards set by the Africa Trust Travel and ECOWAS BioMars.
Africa, this intra-African mobility is crucial to what Africa is currently building, because those highly skilled professionals should be able to move to other states based on simplified mobility rules. This is really when there will be a free movement of goods and free movement of persons of course, the skills, experience, and training will move at the same time. And one challenge is to see how African states and the African continent as one unique voice will help facilitating this free movement of skills and talents.
I earnestly believe that the current generation of African youth represent the most entrepreneurial subset of the continent's talent pool. On a nearly daily basis, we hear stories of them applying innovative approaches to the myriad problems that the continent faces. Consequently, the youth need to be continuously remain front and center of all these discussions. And as I am pleased to note this, African Integration Day event is seeking to do.
We are also seeing that the informal sector, which has been largely affected by the pandemic, remains functional because of the significant role that has been played by young people and young women and women, of course. And this is why UNDP is partnering with both the African Union and REX in ensuring that young people are not just participating, but they are being included in how the CFTA is being implemented. And an evidence to suggest this is our youth challenge, which we did with the African Union in 2020, where we are ensuring that young people benefit and contribute to the opportunities that the CFTA has to offer.
Has adopted a youth policy and strategic action, among others. We're also having a youth forum, which is being hosted, inclusive of the integration of a youth volunteer scheme, now based in Burkina Faso. So in line also with the desire to reduce youth employment in the region, there is ECOWAS Youth Entrepreneurship and Empowerment Program, which also has been inaugurated. So looking at all these, the REC is actually looking at how best can harness the potential of the youth and the talent so that they can also look into the integration of the region or the state effectively for integration.
Small medium enterprises, we all know, contribute over 450 million jobs to the labor market in Africa. Over 70% of Africa's GDP comes from the small medium enterprises sector as well as the informal sector. So it's a very, very significant part of Africa's economy. And so if a trade agreement such as the African Continental Free Trade Area does not accommodate in the benefits that we foresee, does not accommodate small, medium enterprises, does not accommodate entrepreneurs, we will be making a very, very serious mistake. That is why we have made it an absolute priority, working with our strategic partner in the area of trade finance, working with AfroChampions to make sure that we provide the necessary tools that will support small, medium enterprises in Africa. For example, we are establishing an Africa Trade Gateway, which is a universe of digital platforms that will enable interconnectivity with the rest of small, medium enterprises that are located across the African continent. We are working with AfroChampions on similar digital tools to make sure that the market access that this agreement opens, that it actually leads to commercially meaningful opportunities for small, medium enterprises across the African continent.
We are an international healthcare organization, and we specialize in making custom healthcare solutions, so hybrid solutions that ultimately connect individuals, businesses, governments, local governors, etc., to trusted healthcare providers using our bespoke technology. Focus on 4 main pillars. That's giving patients timely access, ensuring the quality of what they receive in terms of care, focusing on patient outcomes, and having a patient-centered projection. We are currently in the middle of a seed round, And that's where this opportunity is very timely. We do need an injection of resources to allow us to push through our product suites, to complete the rest of our technological build, and of course, to make sure that we expand our tentacles to the various shores in Africa to allow us to come together to really develop and care for patients in the best way that we can.
At Wear Ghana, our vision is to become Africa's most loved brand, and our mission is centered on 3 core pillars. 1, we want to celebrate African excellence. 2, inspire the next generation of African entrepreneurs. And 3, create opportunities for women, all using the business of fashion. What do we see after doing for our company? First, it will help us to source fabric from across Africa. We are really keen on increasing the number of our raw materials that comes from the continent. We are also keen on working with factories across the continent. Finally, we are able to serve our customers around the world through e-commerce, and we are looking to build fulfillment centers across the continent. In terms of our needs that will help us to grow, we are looking for funding of 500,000. This will go into marketing and distribution, building our team, and commissioning of customized fabric across the continent. We're also putting together our advisory board, and we are looking for people with connections, people with expertise in marketing and distribution, and large-scale production management. We are also looking for technical assistance in the areas of production and operational management.
This is Langton Shirinda from Gandhi Consulting Africa. I'm going to talk about the importance of adopting additive manufacturing in Africa. Additive manufacturing uses the vast mineral resources that are available in Africa as raw materials in powder form in order to manufacture the finished products that Africa is currently importing. We have amassed a lot of expertise, both local and international, so that we'll be able to build local centers of excellence in additive manufacturing across the African regional economic commissions. And by so doing, we make the African Continental Free Trade a conduit through which all the member parties will be coming through to learn from the centers of excellences so that they'll be able to quickly adopt and implement additive manufacturing for their countries.
All right, so my name is Alex Mativo. I run a company called Nanasi. We are a unified commerce platform that's helping retail businesses and restaurants in Africa to digitize their operations and then manage them from one place and grow their businesses with intelligent internet. Majority of retailers in Africa still use pen and paper to record sales, manage inventory, and do everything within the business. And what that does for a lot of business owners, despite this being the largest sector in the economy, is that it hinders growth. And how we make money as a business is what we call a software as a service subscription plan, where different business owners are able to subscribe to the plan of their choice, and they have access to all the features I've just mentioned. We're currently raising money to grow our business internally, and also to grow our team internally, and also to acquire more customers across different markets in East Africa. And probably we need your support, even if it's spreading the word about Nanasi or giving us your insightful feedback on our business. That would be really appreciated.
My name is Bernie Akoroy. I'm the CEO of We've digitized traditional savings groups so we can provide access to a range of financial and non-financial services to the financially excluded, mostly women in Africa. What is the big problem we're trying to solve? It's the fact there are 300 million women in Africa who do not have access to basic financial services like small loans and insurance, despite demonstrating outstanding financial behavior by lending and saving $11 billion in these traditional savings. In 10 years' time, we want to have millions of members on our platform, credit profile with scores, whereby a diaspora in Africa in New York can go online, see the credit score of a member in Mali, and offer them a personal loan at 10%.
Thanks for the opportunity to participate in this. Listening to all the innovators, and I must say that they've done a a credible job, a wonderful job, unless it's all scripted. But what I was looking out for is, first of all, what problem are you solving? And I think the last speaker was very convincing in identifying the problem, identifying the solution, identifying the risks. You rightly pointed out some of the risks, but also pointing out the vision, the end state, and putting it across eloquently. And so did the other innovators. The feedback I'd like to give is operating across multiple markets is a very difficult thing. It's not easy. That's what we do for a living. And my strong advice is, first of all, to achieve the proof of concept. Choose a market that it's not too difficult to operate in, has simpler regulatory framework, and access to technology, access to bandwidth to do what you want to do, because it's technology intensive, clear guidelines on data protection and everything. So my advice is to pick a market that is easier to operate in and test your model.
We as a bank, we are ready to work with them and to provide whatever support we can provide to help them to develop this platform and to gain momentum and to expand around Africa. The other pitch also is quite interesting because, as you know, during COVID, most people were relying on ordering their food from delivery services. And also managing restaurant is sometimes very challenging for many people. So I think also this type of technology-based solution needs support, and we are ready to provide the needed kind of support, and also to see how to replicate this experience in other sectors, not only in the restaurant activity, but in other activities around the economy, but also in all African countries.
And so one of the reasons that I believe that Africa cannot run with vaccines before she can work with basic drugs is that vaccines are truly a very low volume, long-acting type of product. And commercially, Africa has not fully invested in biotech production or commercialization for that matter.
Must Africa learn to work with basic drugs before it can run with vaccines? I would say absolutely not. Africa needs to learn to crawl, meaning it must build broad R&D biotechnology platforms. And after that, it can walk, it can run, it can even fly if it wants to. And it can fly, move with whatever it wants, whether it is therapeutics, whether it is diagnostics, or whether it is vaccines.
Three main reasons why I support the motion that African countries should nationalize their natural resources. First is that there is a growing imbalance in the national resource sector against African countries. So we find, for example, that there's a huge degree and an accelerating degree of concentration. Companies are getting bigger, they are getting fewer, whether it's by virtue of their share of markets and control of resources, whether it's by their M&A merger and acquisition activity, and so on. Companies are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. They're becoming, the extension of their tentacles globally is becoming more pronounced. And African actors, both at the level of the macro level of the national economy, whether measured in terms of fiscal returns and so on, are losing out.
The marginal gain that accrues to government for owning a mine is far outweighed by the risk. What do I mean by that? A mining company will, for instance, pay taxes like your VAT for whatever activities are taking place. People who are employed have to pay income tax. And then over and above that, you obviously are going to have taxes when profits are declared and so forth and so forth. We have all sorts of different taxes. Those taxes are available to government whether the company is privately owned or not. Makes no difference.
It is that single currency notion, that single line of thought that underlies status quo we want to run away from. That we need a single currency to trade amongst each other, often in United States dollars, because we think everybody has confidence in it. It's that notion that I am saying is outdated. And I am for this motion that in this era of blockchain, it's no longer necessary. That notion that we must have a single African currency is old, if not older than the African Union itself. That's how old the idea is. So we are here in 2021 debating a decades-old idea.
Just last month, we're now in July, in the month of June, the Western African countries were able to announce a common currency, the ECO, which was actually slated to come alive but had to be postponed because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've got at least the CFA in the context of West Africa, Central Africa, and then in Southern Africa, you have the RAND operating within a cluster of countries. And this tells us that the idea, the dream for a common currency is actually viable and is possible.
Africa's share to the global creative economy is still very low, at less than 5% compared to other continents. If you take a country like US, where the art contributes more than $763 billion US dollar to the US economy, which is more than what agriculture, transportation, or warehousing contribute. My company, ADS, Africa Development Solution, is investing massively in art and culture. In fact, last year, December, we brought together in Mindelo, Cape Verde, more than 170 creative to share their best experience and also to see what opportunities are available. We also built the first ever floating music, dancing, movie, and art studio on the Mindelo Marina in Cape Verde, which will support creative of the continent and the rest of the world.
Hi, my name is Kunle Adeyemi, the lead architect and curator of Mansa Floating Hub, a vessel of return and creative space of African imagination. In the fall of 2021, we shall be hosting the Nefertiti laureates, winners of the Nefertiti Prize launched by the African Union and the AfroChampions in the summer of 2020. The laureates will virtually grace the Mansa Floating Hub to manifest ideas, diverse art forms, and deep ancestral links that will shape the mindset for true sustainability on the African continent.
Integrate! Intervene with the wrathful Mama Africa. Integrate! Today is Athens Day. Africa, integrate on this very holiday. I bid you, Africa. Integrate, Africa. Integrate, integrate.
Hey, mélange de riz. Tu as créé quelque chose de mauvais. Là où tu as mis le doigt, c'est faux.